Until I started working part-time in the Crown Heights neighborhood of Brooklyn last year, I hadn't set foot there since 1991, when I was a reporter covering the aftermath of the deadly race riots between African Americans and Orthodox Jews. I was a researcher and fact-checker at a weekly news magazine, where I'd been unsuccessfully lobbying for better assignments, so I was surprised when one of the editors came over to my cubicle and said, with seeming sincerity, "We'd really like you to go report in Crown Heights." I was puzzled because several staffers in our Midtown office generally received reporting assignments before I did. When a young African American reporter flew up from D.C. to work with me, I realized that we would be a one black, one Jew dream team, each of us representing the groups in the unrest. He and I joked that we should lash ourselves together into a human version of Dr. Doolittle's two-headed creation, the push me, pull you. That way, we could employ the ethnically appropriate talking head for different interview subjects. The idea that a mostly secular gay Jew would necessarily understand Lubavitcher Hasidim was as misguided as the assumption that an African American graduate of a prestigious East Coast prep school and a top-flight university was better positioned to interview inner-city African American rioters. I believe in newsroom diversity, but I'd never found myself singled out this way. Back at the office, when I spoke with some of my colleagues about being selected for this assignment, more than one African American coworker chuckled cynically. One said, "Now you know how I feel when I'm always expected to be the expert on black affairs." These days, after the recent attacks on identifiably Jewish people in New York, I removed the Kabbalah pendant I bought in Israel before I head over to my job in a gentrifying part of Crown Heights. But even in Manhattan, I usually tuck it inside my shirt. When I was growing up, my father, who was active in our conservative synagogue but only moderately observant, was scornful of all religious jewelry, crosses, Hebrew chais, or Stars of David. He considered such displays ostentatious and somehow not tasteful. I still see some visibly Orthodox men and women, both on the street and at the subway stop near my workplace. I feel embarrassment that I'm passing for just plain white, alongside concern for the personal safety of those Jews who cannot do the same. I can't help thinking that the Orthodox in their clothing stand in relation to secular Jews like me, in the same way that drag queens and identifiably transgender people do to less stereotypically gay people. Again, like me. Most of the time, anyway. They are the visible vanguards for the larger group, and unintentionally bear the heaviest burden of hate. In the Philip Roth short story, Eli the Fanatic, an assimilated suburban Jewish lawyer is sent by his neighbors to persuade a newly arrived Orthodox Jew to stop dressing in traditional garb. By the end of the story, Eli the lawyer has given his best suit to the Orthodox man, and starts wearing the long black coat, hat, and fringed tzitzit that now render him visibly different. The clothing switch suggests both gaps that divide and links that bind the two communities, and it is an outward manifestation of Eli's internal ambivalence about his Jewish identity in America. I don't plan to suddenly dress Orthodox style, and since I may be the only gay man who's never watched an entire episode of RuPaul's Drag Race, I'm not going to start down that sartorial road either. As for that piece of Kabbalah jewelry, for now it will stay on my dresser most of the time. It will be safe there, and no one can take it from me.